things these coaches have come up with at the drawing board. Moving into game number 1 here of this best of 5. Do or die between DK and Bro. This may be the last time we get to pay bro tax in a bro game. We might need to figure out a way to just pay bro tax in games that they're not in.
Yeah,
it's nuts. I don't know how we're going to figure it out, but we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. The first bridge though is going to be these bans as the Yone and the Talia, taken away with the Yanara and the Azir. Probably some Yap on the side of the Bros.
Yeah, pretty decent chance that Pantheon is gone. The Talia will match as the Pantheon actually gets taken away here by Dplus. As maybe looking for a Wukong first pick here.
A bit of yaw?
Yeah, a little bit.
If only we had have banned Yone, Evelyn, Ezreal. Because then we could have got Yi-Yor.
We still got Yaw, it's just a different spelling.
Yeah.
So Wukong first pick feels pretty obvious here. They may be looking for something else, though. The Annie
Rumble is
going to be able to pair with
pretty
it.
strong.
That's true. But I think Wukong is just so insanely strong right now and will be snapped up just the same.
I think this is interesting, though, because I feel like we've been seeing less Wukong first picks when we're expecting them. And DK this time around will actually pull the trigger without the Annie available to them, but it is going to cost them a fair bit, you could imagine, as the Rumble and Orianna both going to be taken away, of course. Showmaker has been defaulting to the mechanical ballerina quite a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential in this draft here for Bro now, because you can either go for something like a Jarvan, or you could go for the Nocturne, as the Rise feels pretty obvious. Showmaker loves his mids that can have a global impact, and is good into the Orianna.
I think you can also still play Gwen in this draft as well on DK's side.
Yeah, you
it's a Rumble,
can.
It's not like... I feel like that Gnar counterpick that we saw yesterday did work out very well because you actually capitalized on her lost armor.
Yeah.
But Rumble doesn't necessarily do that.
It's very expensive if you commit that in now, but with the fact that both the Rumble and the Orianna are here, you know the Aurora can't really be played. Yeah. It does work, and she was definitely considering it here. I don't think you want to play Ambessa in this game. We definitely want to save that. It has a lot of value in other drafts. And so probably avoid that one. A lot of thought going into this as they're going to lock the Aurora ultimately themselves, in fact. So making the Gwen much more stronger, but not in this game.
No, exactly right. It's going to mean that Gwen will need to be banned for the rest of the series, you could imagine. But we will see. Of course, she was nerfed a little bit as well, as Xin Zhao is going to be hovered and should be locked here by Croco.
Yeah, that's definitely where they're looking here. The Jarvan was still a possibility, and remove Sivir, because Sivir is so good with the Rise, but they can just ban the Sivir now.
Yep.
And I think they probably will. This is not a draft where you necessarily are thinking Kai'Sa is super high prio with this Wukong setup. It can be utilized in drafts like this, but it's not the Giga Kai'Sa angle. So I imagine that Sivir will be taken away. Yeah, in this spot.
I'm also kind of surprised that we haven't seen Nico's priority just skyrocket. We've seen her be so incredibly pivotal.
I think if you're Dplus Kia, you're more concerned about that pick right now because they get pick priority, so they're on red side. And so Rakan gets taken away first here because Rakan pairs really well with Wukong. And Nico just wins you the bottom lane kind of by default. We've seen that in so many scenarios. Corki, Nico, incredibly powerful lane.
Yep.
And that is certainly something that we could see OK Savings Bank BRION look to lock in here.
Taking a long time.
Yeah, Dplus are really using the clock fully.
I like the Jhin ban for DK. I haven't really enjoyed watching Aiming play Jhin. I am kind of known as a bit of a Jhin anti. So it is understandable that I don't like watching Jhin. There are some Jhin players that have been pretty good.
Hype got this team here by flashing on Teddy with Jhin. So
see,
it does kind of make sense.
He also got solo killed 3 times in that game.
Yeah, no, his early game wasn't great. They're actually the ones to ban Poppy away, or not Poppy, sorry, the Nico away.
I think this means that they want the Sivir.
Yeah, and it's crazy how neither of these teams have banned it just yet. And it's incredibly strong with both comps, but I like it more for Dplus's. As Dplus are just going to use every single second of this clock again, which can be a good thing to use your time to think about all possibilities, but also can be a worrying thing as a commentator. You're like,
yeah,
you guys have a plan here? I hope so. The Poppy I mentioned does get taken away. If Nico is gone, Poppy stocks go up massively, especially into Wukong. So That does make quite a bit of sense. But the Corki is open. And Corki, by the way, has been the highest prio pick in play-ins and is 3-0. Has not lost a game yet.
I could imagine its KDA is absolutely absurd as well, with what we were seeing from Diablo yesterday especially. Oh my god, that game was very difficult to watch.
And you get support counter pick here now, so you feel very confident that you're going to win this lane no matter what.
It was Lucian Braum.
I mean, it's the only thing you can play really left, unless you wanted to try to finesse a Varus draft, but Varus prio is dropped to the bottom.
I don't know whether I like Braum here, though. It is going to be what they do, but it doesn't feel fantastic. We'll see what Polo is going to go towards. Of course, Polo is going to pick and engage support into Braum. That is what's going to happen. Like Rel or something like that. Alistair might get picked up here.
Alistair
there it
makes more sense to me. You know, when you have the Corki lane, you could get away with a lot with the Alistair, and your damage output into any support that tries to interact with the Alistair, any melee support is going to be fantastic when you have this lane in the bottom 2v2. And then the Alistair is great for early game objectives, can also be a great ball carrier for the Orianna as well. So I really do like how OK Savings Bank BRION rounded this composition out. There's a decent side lane threat with this Aurora here for Dplus Kia, and if the Aurora gets ahead in the lane against Morgan on his Rumble, then the Ryze can have a lot of value elsewhere. But my issue with Dplus's comp is it doesn't necessarily fully all in on any type of game state. Like, it's not the most amazing late game comp. Like, Ryze can do a lot of damage later. It's not a perfect pick comp, even though you have the Lucian that has great follow-up for that. It's kind of a mishmash of, I tried to get the best of every lane matchup, but I didn't end up with a comp that has a ton of cohesion.
Yeah, my problem is that there are a lot of short-range champions with not a lot of engage. And that spells, if you fall behind, you lose.
Yeah.
Because you just cannot approach anything at all ever. Unless you have a phenomenal flank. They'd need incredible coordination to make their way back into a game. And of course, Aurora is a brilliant champ for doing that. You've got Ryze with Realm Warp. If they can use these tools very effectively, it can work. But the problem is, Keep It Simple Stupid has been so effective here in the play-ins. We'll see whether that's continuing to be so as we jump into the Rift for game one.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, I just want to say thanks to everyone for their bro tax. There is so much of it littering the Twitch chat right now, and it fills my heart with incredible amounts of joy. And I really appreciate you guys. Even the DK fans that are also pressing the bro tax button because there isn't a DK tax button.
Yeah, I heard Digon is looking to launch his new website, brofundme.com, after Bros Run ends.
I'm surprised that hasn't already been made. You could just accidentally make money if you just made that.
Yeah.
Just make a donation link and just call it BroFundMe. People would just put money in there for fun.
And then, you know, you just link it to the Bro organization, and suddenly, like, they just poach all Genji's players next year. You could fund it.
Oh, honestly, this is such a missed opportunity. Hopefully, we've sent a message, right? With the fact that the majority of the global side predicted Bro, and we had a 51% prediction rate for Bro versus DK on X as well. I think that means maybe they will start to listen to what we have to say, and that is, it all comes down to bro tax. As Hype and Polo, it's going to be a little bit rough, I guess, in the early stages, just because it's an Alistair, but it is also a Corki. So
yeah,
probably not going to be too worried.
I think a lot of Alistair lanes struggle into Lucian, but not this one necessarily. It's very close, as you guys can see. The push goes to Hype and Palu, which feels really nice for them. As long as they don't overstep here, they should be able to get the level 2 advantage.
Yeah, Amy, you can see, still trying to step up, but one more minion, and I believe the Bros will be able to reach that level 2.
Very close.
Never you mind. There it is.
And you can see the win rates here across these champs. Aiming has had a very good performance on the Lucian. It's Shiyu's Aurora that has been in the late game is so insanely impressive. In base defense, obviously for that famous Penta, but in late game scraps, his usage of the ultimate, where he places it and how mobile it makes him, how survival it makes him is really, really huge.
Yeah, he's been like, his clutch play in the later stages of the game has been pretty impressive. What we've found though is that DK have lacked a bit of longevity in these games. I think we're going to need a little bit more mental fortitude out of these players. Especially Lucid and Shiu have seemed to struggle as the series goes on.
That's the scary thing about, you mentioned the lack of engage. Sure, they have Wukong, which is a fair amount of engage, but it's otherwise a Braum composition here with a top laner that's a mage. So you're not looking at a positive late game state if you don't have control of the map. And Dplus do often kind of mess up a fight and lose control of the map in the late game, as Krako is coming for a very aggressive level 3 gank here to punish the pushing Aurora.
Well, let's see how Shiu is going to be able to do here. It does go into stealth, and that should allow him to get away from this one. No flash required, but does suffer a lot of damage. So does Morgan, though. Man, down to sub 100 health just from following the Aurora to try and kill her.
Yeah, it took a lot of damage earlier in the initial trades and had the lane pushed in. In fact, Shiu is going to read this well, doesn't back, but now neither does Krako, actually.
Yeah, he is going to come back and look for a bit of an angle here, as Shiu going to be able to bounce away.
Oh!
Whip becomes lightning, is going to become a miss.
That hits.
I mean, I don't know whether it kills, but
it's close.
It still feels bad.
Yeah, certainly close. Shiu doesn't have to flash, though, ultimately, as Lucid is going to come on to Krako now.
Yeah, Krako in so much trouble. Does find Wind Becomes Lightning onto a mini Krug, and the Audacious Charge going to get him out of there. But I don't know, Lucid still chasing after him. Needs a few buttons to come back off cooldown, 4 seconds, and the Blast Cone is going to be there.
All right, so well, some near deaths there. Lucid feels really bad about the fact that he wasn't able to get that kill, especially because he committed his flash on the follow there. No prio for closer means he can't come up and assist. He is just locked down under this turret with Showmaker just pushing these waves in. This is a good matchup for the Rise, especially early on, and he's just going to constantly out-wave clear you, as we're going to have another trade up here on the top side.
Cannon denied here by Morgan, so it's a trade up already, as he does make himself quiet. It is weird that when Rumble silences himself, he gets louder.
Yeah.
Which I think is wrong. I don't like that very much. But he gets the cannon, and so the Lord is eaten good here towards his top side.
Is it him? Like, is it actually the Yordle that says, like, warning, 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 or is it actually like
I think that's the mech computer.
Yeah, I think so. So I guess maybe he's quiet.
Ah,
it's
so
just
he's
the robot
being
that's
silenced, but the robot's still loud. There you go. But wait, the robot is the one that can't use abilities.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a tough one. You feel like you get to the bottom of it, and then another issue crops up.
It's the mech that uses the amp tome to be a spellcaster.
Yeah, the mech has to read the book to get the info.
Bit of a fight here.
DK going aggressive here, as we do get concussive blows onto Polu, taking a bit of damage from aiming, but Beryl also looking a little worse for wear. These Frost Bombs do need to land from Hype, though, if they do want to be able to keep this lane working. And you can see aiming having a very good time on the Lucian thus far.
Level 6 here for Morgan.
Oh, bit of a dash forward here as the Winter's Bite does connect. Beryl puts up the door and says, nope, you are not coming in.
As no barriers used, so still some potential for follow-up action there. Morgan did not use his equalizer with a level 6 advantage, but he is going to crash a massive wave. Shiu does not have teleport and is actually just going to abandon and take a back here. So Morgan's going to push a massive wave in. Looking at Shiu on the minimap, he wants to make something happen, but he's just walking out of the lane. We'll eventually be able to go catch that wave. They don't know where he is as a control ward there, knowing he's not wrapping around. It looks like because it's a cannon wave, he'll actually be fine. And while that's happening, they're actually going to be able to, with that bottom side, mid side prio here, start the dragon. So Lucid, the nice early lead here, nice amount of control despite that vision. Just going to be able to get away with this because there's just no way to match on the side of Bro.
Yep, and also did manage to steal away the Krug camp, so he was already ahead just a little bit as far as his clear was concerned. So feeling pretty good on this Wukong thus far, wanting to race towards that level 6 as quickly as possible. Very close to it, actually, as aiming, getting some damage down onto Polu. Beryl stands beside him. And there it is, level 6 and the first Drake going over to DK, spelling about a 600 gold lead.
That Dragon experience allows him to potentially make a play here bottom side for this blue buff. And with Realm Warp available for Showmaker, he was already threatening one. It's going to be hard to defend this. They're even going to commit the TP here for Polu.
He is teleporting in to try and get back Beryl at 50% health. Krako only level 5 though. Still, they are going to respect it and back away. The Orianna was roaming over first. And so they will at least respect Closer at a very large health total.
To say nothing of tempo vibes, straight up regular tempo, 100% D+s with the counter picks they got for these lane matchups. The Rise working incredibly well, 20 CS ahead of Closer. The Aurora down on farm, but was able to absorb a ton of pressure there top side and be totally okay. And then the bottom side control they've had gets him that first dragon. And when she was at his deficit, obviously Grubs hadn't spawned yet, so there's no way to make a counterplay there. Lucid gets level 6 first, means that Bro can't really fight there. And now they should be able to go up and contest the Grubs themselves. Dplus, that is, to potentially get double objective here early on.
Pretty crazy have a start like this. Of course, Morgan is a large reason why this gold lead is basically 0. As you can see, 11 CS ahead on this Rumble, which is very impressive, to be perfectly honest. I think Shiu's laning phase on the Aurora has never really been that good, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it's the late game stuff.
He manages to dash around fights pretty expertly, but doesn't necessarily understand how to destroy a Rumble in lane. And honestly, this champion is pretty ridiculous anyway. So it does make a little bit of sense. Morgan also no slouch.
Yeah, I mean, this is arguably Morgan's best champion in this year.
Yep.
So not surprised by that. He is going to lose Prio here for just a moment, but Lucid's already got this first grub without Smite, so feeling very good.
That was a crab. Oh, sorry, that was actually a cheeky cosplay
That was
crab.
A tricky crab there.
Yeah, it was very tricky crab.
Okay, does Smite the first grub, so I was like, damn, he got the first one without Smite. He's going to get 2 for sure without even a fight. But no, gets the first one with Smite. We'll get the second one, it looks like, without it here because Bro are just not going to contest.
And Hollow is going to accept a back massage. It does a fair bit of damage, as we can see there. But yeah, Lucid actually going to get all 3. So, a bit of a monopoly when it comes to the neutral objectives thus far for DK.
Only one more for the objective Feat of Strength now. Could double Dragon as now Bro decide to make a fight happen.
Yeah, Shu getting taken down to about 300 as Morgan, a bit frustrated that there's a minion wave conga lining forward. And Shu, you cannot walk up.
No.
That is illegal.
I don't think he will just let the, especially with that Flame Spitter, he might try to bait something with Lucid being nearby with Flash Cyclone, but I think this is just going to be the end of it. They had a little bit of Prio there top side, but they did not commit to the fight. They didn't group, and so Dplus just get all of the objectives completely. And this is a bit of a Bro game, you know? We haven't seen as much Bro and Brew early games recently, but this is certainly one of them where you just kind of give everything.
I swear this happens all the time with DK versus Bro, though. What I want is the stat of average first blood time between DK and Bro and average first blood time throughout the league. Because I think that this matchup gets really late first bloods almost all the time. It's a gentleman's game, you know? It's a no-rush 20 that we get most of the time, you know? Like, let me get my photon cannons up.
Yeah.
I want to be able to build only Stargates and carriers. I don't want gateway units. That's annoying.
Unfortunately for Bro in this game, I don't think they actually have Fleet Beacon tech, so
no,
they're going to have to eventually fight Dplus.
I always thought that was kind of, you know, annoying anyway, because you only did stuff for like high Templars and things in there. But
yeah,
it was necessary if you did want to build those carriers.
The game state here is pretty Dplus favorite. It continues to be so in this Wukong, even though he has not cycloned onto anybody yet, is just constantly threatening, and Bro are forced to respect it. And this lane here on the top side, that's where the only lead for Bro is right now, but they haven't been able to capitalize on it just yet. I mean, a 400 gold lead means a lot for winning the straight-up 1v1 for now, but what happens when we get to team fights is a bigger question, as Beryl is doing Beryl things.
Beryl is barreling as he does ulti. That is only going to knock off the cow, though, as now aiming is going to be dissuaded from killing more minions and will save his support. But still, that is every button that Beryl had available to him, just because he was trying to annoy a cow. He was like, but I'm getting tempo, guys. I'm getting tempo. I have the tempo.
Also, aiming and hype trading ultimates there as well.
Oh, that's true. That is very true.
It's an even trade for the 80 carries.
Yep.
Not really, of course. Sundered Sky picked up here for Kroko as the observers zoom in on the, you know, new Gorge Rinker of the jungle. The strongest item that we've had probably this whole year. I don't want to say on this patch because it's been the whole year. And now looking for a fight here for the second dragon to try to deny double dragon. But Dplus have full prio. Even though Beryl doesn't have his ult and doesn't have sums, and the fact that aiming doesn't have his ult doesn't matter here necessarily. Looking for Lucid.
Going forward. Warrior Trickster comes down, but there is a rune prison still. Wind Becomes Lightning does connect. Lucid may need to flash here, but never mind. Oh, Kroko does go in. Still not enough follow-up to be able to lock him down. No knock-up prepared or anything like that.
I mean, Hype's pushed out this lane. Dplus could look for a recontest here. They have Realm Warp, and Lucid held his Cyclone there. Just wanted to heal up a little bit before he goes back in, but he's so low that I suppose they're just going to give this up. They did not collapse with that mid-prio, and it's going to be an even trade of Drakes here instead, as Showmaker's not really in a position to Realm Warp anybody in. And they didn't have enough vision here. As you can see, vision control is Bros, so it's not like he could have sneaked Lucid into the backside or anything like that. So it's just going to be a dragon.
Yep, Closer also taking a turret shot because he could.
Yes.
May as well. Just trying to get as much damage down onto Showmaker as he can.
Doesn't have Lucid here. He's coming over now, but there's a window.
Well, Beryl is going to turn up yet again. This time Aiming is there to defend him as he gets behind the door. There's a nice stun to try and lock them down, and the double knockup comes through from Beryl as Lucid dies forward, but first blood goes over as Beryl does fall down. Still Croco is going to die as Showmaker Realm Warps his way in, and Aiming is on the warpath, looking to take down Polo, and there's Lucid to finish him off. The flash forward there from Showmaker finds the Rune Prison onto Hype as well, and they're looking for the feats of warfare, but it may be a second kill over to the Bros. Never mind, Lucid will survive. Man, that's a lot of action in a game that had basically none until now.
Yeah, that was a very, very close exchange there. They get Beryl in the end, still down his summoners, but they stay too long for the play. The real target is Showmaker, but they see, okay, Beryl's here, and Hype's like, Aiming's rotating down, we got this. We have the Orianna coming over here. Closer speeds up, tries to get in here. They look for the shockwave here. It's pretty low value. Aiming's able to avoid that damage, and then he does so much here on the follow-up. Showmaker's able to Realm Warp in. Croco gets obliterated, and then Paulo is just trying to help his teammates get out here. And it looked like for a second, like, ooh, maybe they actually get a kill here as Showmaker goes in very deep. Lucid takes a ton of damage, but that is ultimately the end of it. Closer really maximizing the Orianna damage in that skirmish, which was kind of insane.
It was. We're straight back into the action as Polu getting taken down pretty low. Doesn't have his ulti, but isn't going to get stunned up. That is not going to be the same case for Hype, though, as Croco going to get slowed down as he makes his way back. And I want to talk a little bit about Closer, because you're exactly right. He did make the use of his kit, but not his shockwave, because that was on cooldown. It wasn't like, and the circle came through, and I almost said it in the play-by-play, but that was the Crescent Guard. That was the only thing that we saw. If that had have been a shockwave, man, completely different story.
Yeah, there's just no damage onto Aiming. He's able to avoid everything there and just clean up the fight in what is an incredibly strong skirmishing comp here early for Dplus, as Lucid is lurking around once again. They're trying to use the solutions power right now. They are without a Braum, though.
Yeah, Showmaker moving over. We'll eat some honey fruit here as Croco does know exactly what's going on, but control vision is around for DK.
Aiming's doing so much work here in the mid lane to push Hype away. I think that's why Bro is so hesitant to actually look for a contest here. And Beryl does show back up, doesn't have his flash yet, but is very close to it, has his ultimate, of course, and with this Cyclone and Braum ultimate choke point control, Paulo can't be anywhere near.
Yeah, the culling just going to come down once again. The big one will be avoided there by Aiming. Pretty decent chunk of damage that is going to be missing now for the Bros, as Croco moving over alongside Closer. Showmaker going to get pushed out here, as we'll see whether Lucid can land the smite. Teleports from both of our top laners moving forward, but Shiu's going to get here first. There is the ulti out of Beryl, does find Hype as Polo goes unbreakable, and Shiu is actually going to get headbutted to safety. Still, it's a fight on multiple fronts, and Croco is likely to die to Showmaker as the shockwave comes through yet again, but it's just not enough damage, and Shiu is just ignored throughout this entire fight. And Closer is just going to have to run his way away.
Yeah, the target selection not great there for Bro. Very split fight, and so many near kills that don't go over there in the end, as Closer is able to shockwave but not finish off the kill. And now this is a pretty disastrous situation here for Bro, who will also lose this first turret. And I mean, feats were already there, but that's a ton of extra money to Aiming, who is running away with this game. And so much of what Aiming has done has been in these team fights, these early skirmishes. Hype's not going to get that backstop, but a lot of it has also been in how much he's controlled the mid lane to get them prio here in the first place into this Corki, who gets ulted on the outset here, goes down to half health, and then Shiu is doing some of his fancy footwork in this fight. Again, gets knocked to safety by Palu, though, which was definitely not his intent. And then Croco and Closer almost able to kill Showmaker here, but obviously Croco is basically at 0 health, so they can't quite do it. Shiu gets the execute there as well. And that's the end of the fight, as Hype was able to do practically nothing in comparison because he was chunked out early.
And those are the sort of fights that DK's composition thrives on as well. I mean, once they're in, they're feeling absolutely fantastic about it. I feel like Beryl as well, getting a lot of value out of the engaged Braum. that we did see yesterday work actually a little bit better than expected.
When you have a Wukong, it's kind of okay, especially when you have the Rune Prison to also lock people down who are trying to chase you. Look at Aiming's items. He has a Flicker Blade already online, and they are ready to fight here for this second dragon for them, the third dragon of the game, which will be the first Mountain Drake. And with Showmaker also controlling the side lane and the bottom side, it's just hard for Bro to approach.
Level 11 here for Lucid as well. That Cyclone, pretty scary. Still DK, not going to have access fully to this river as Banana Brush control is going to be there. As Lucid comes out as stealth and finds Morgan. He lays down the red carpet, but that is not going to help him when it comes to the culling. As now Beryl looking to continue the follow-up. He's likely to die, but what more can they get? As never mind, Beryl's going to be fine. Showmaker now looking for an angle as the Shockwave doesn't quite CC him enough as the knockups are everywhere. Lucid able to flash out, and it's a triple for Showmaker. DK are just styling on them.
Oh yeah, this game may have just ended right here in front of our eyes as it's another phenomenal engage from Lucid on that first pick. Wukong they grabbed, was able to get there, play around the vision control. Bro had no idea. They knew, like, yeah, he's looking to engage us, but we have to approach for Dragon here. They had no idea the angle of which he was going to come in. Just jumps out, gets the Cyclone. We have Flash Cyclone, could do so much. As he has control vision here in this brush, so they don't know exactly where he is. He also has that ward up here, so knows exactly the angle that Morgan and Hype are going. Aiming is also pushing them in. It's not even really that Bro are trying to force the way into this dragon. It's just Dplus being like, they're kind of near the dragon, and we have so much control. And then Beryl lives, and Closer is just like trying as fast as Oriana's legs can carry him away, but it's just another wipe here. Not a full wipe, but a near full wipe as Showmaker grabs 3 kills, 4 kills total, picks up his Seraphs. His Rod of Ages is near completion. And I think this might have just been the backbreaking moment here.
Yeah, and I have to say, it's good to see Showmaker awake for the start of the series, because if we remember, his Azir was like 1-0-0 at like almost the end of their first game last time around, as Morgan is going to get engaged on here towards the top side. Lucid will be backing away though, as the teleport comes in from Polo to try and protect his Rumble. We'll be able to do so for now as Otacon has spawned.
Look at Aiming, man. He's just like, this whole game.
I've got a theory. Do you think Aiming just plays better when he gets to build Essence Reaver first?
I mean, it does seem that way, based on the champs he has really excelled.
That may justify the terrible center build.
Yeah.
Because he just feels more comfortable with the item. As Bro, they feel more comfortable just starting Otacon.
Bro desperation here. I mean, they have all their ultimates online. This is the best fight they're ever going to get for the rest of the game with the prio they have.
Well, this may not be the way to live long and prosper, but we'll see whether they can make something of it as Beryl and Aiming are going to turn up. There's the interruption on the culling as Aiming does have to flash to get out of the way, but he finds the distance with the flash. She is going to go down first, though, as now the Otacon down so incredibly low. It will be taken here by the Bros, but Otacon for Nexus is not a trade I've heard working out very well so far in the LCK. Maybe elsewhere it's a thing, but no, that 50 gold is the most important, if we remember.
And they want to get the chase on him. Looks like he's going to escape as he went up here. Showmaker trying to catch, but isn't going to be in Rune Prison range. The fight, the concept of it is obviously it's silly to think they're going to win a fight, but they know Cyclone's down. It was used on the Rumble top side. They have every tool, so the turn has to be perfect here. And Shiyu just goes in and sacrifices himself, but it's 100% worth it here because he does so much damage. Otacon is still alive.
Yeah, Showmaker is behind a wall.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter because Bro have no formation here, whereas Dplus just sends Shiyu in, sacrifices himself, and they have so much damage on their Fed carries here in the Lucian and the Rise to clean up house after those resistances get shredded by Otacon. Sure, they secure the objective, but like you said, it feels like it's for Nexus here in the trade because Dplus gets so much gold. The Lucian lead is exploding. He almost has IE online here, and he's already just walking up to Hype and taking everything he owns. I don't know what else he's going to do once he gets that IE. Just going to walk up and shoot the Nexus, I think.
I could imagine. As we'll see whether they can actually break the base without the Baron. That's going to be up in 2.5 minutes as Lucid comes on over, looking to take some Raptors here. And Aiming continuing his onslaught on the game. Beryl, his map sense today, I feel, is better than what we saw in previous days. He just seems to know where to put this this Winter's Bite. Maybe he's got the black sheep wall tech or something like that.
He certainly made us nervous a few times in the early game, but now 11 out of 13 KP ready to trust.
Yeah.
And this Braum angle in this game, you know, we weren't 100% sure about it, but from ahead, and when you just can send your Lucian straight up the mid lane and then be wherever you want as Braum, it totally works out. As you can see this extremely strong Aurora here. Not Ori, she's not extremely strong.
Aurora.
The Aurora is pushing away the Rumble, and like they can just get deep vision everywhere. Wait for this next dragon to spawn, which will be soul point for them.
Yep, and that will be with a Lucian that has an Infinity Edge.
Yeah, and this time Cyclone will be available, and this time he will have Flash Cyclone. So the last Otacon fight went poorly. This time Dplus will also, by the way, have Prio on the objective because they'll go there first. So,
and they got Sundered Sky now and Lucid completed, so the Sundered Sky gap has been closed.
You want to just send it sometimes in games like this. Maybe it's better to just hope Dplus make a mistake later on in the game, because I think trying to fight a straight-up fight against Dplus here means the Nexus explodes right afterwards. But if you just let him have it, you don't get anything either. This comp isn't just going to magically outscale. See what Bro decide to do.
They're going to need to land the Wombo. They're going to need to make it actually work, because so far, it just has not. And they need to kill aiming. That is definitely part and parcel of the task here.
He knows where he doesn't have vision.
Well, Polo's going to look for it. He does have the orb, but he's not going to be able to find the target. Beryl might be in trouble, though, as he does throw down the ulti, but finds no joy with it whatsoever and will just die. Still, the culling does so much work onto Morgan. And DK now just find themselves without a Braum.
Okay, this could be playable.
Oh, Xiu looking for an angle here, throws down the circle. This is their engage, by the way. It's Xiu putting his body into the Bros. It worked at the Otacon fight. It did not work here.
It did a lot of damage, but it didn't do the impactful damage that Dplus are looking for. Now, without two critical members here, Bro, actually with Prio on this dragon, Morgan with TP to get back after fully healing up. Dplus, you're on their side of the map. Maybe you could try to threaten to push for the inhibitor turret, but Bro are going to get this dragon. Realmore will get them, or Showmaker, to the Raptor camp. They can't actually threaten that inhibitor.
Oh, that would have been so cute. I think aiming missed the memo. So what he could have done is realm warp them over so that they're out of vision on the Baron, and then get to sneak the Baron away without them knowing, assuming they have no vision on the top side of the map. It could have been very cute. We're having a look at the replay, though.
Yeah, so Beryl gets picked here. The equalizer, not the greatest, but it keeps them zoned. And then from here, she was like, I'm just going to blow myself up again to take away half of all of Bro's health bars. And that part works. But Lucid already used his Cyclone. If Lucid has Cyclone there and could flash into follow, that would be amazing. Baron did spawn, as you mentioned, but trying to start that one up would have been a bit of a pipe dream. They could have also tried to run it into the mid-inhibitor turret, but they weren't decisive about that, so they kind of just ended up...
I don't know, members. I saw them run it at the mid-inhibitor turret.
At the end of the day, still a Fed Lucian, it's still a 7,000 gold lead, but Dplus is going to have to tighten it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Remember, if they lose tempo control, even with the gold lead, like you mentioned at the start of the game, before the draft was even really fully locked in, this comp is low range, does not have consistent engage, and there's a trap set.
Well, you can see DK just getting the vision down now. I'm hoping that Beryl starts to play it a little less fast and loose, because they've got Xiu in the side lane, and it's very difficult to answer him. Croco going to move over, does find Beryl, who was possibly caught in the shot. He's going to get exhausted, but Beryl will be able to redeem himself, like actually redeem himself. Don't know whether it redeems what happened earlier on, but I have a bit of a soft spot for Beryl, as you may know.
He redemptions himself.
Yes.
As we're going to see a TP here from Palu. It's Baron vision and Baron control that we're now kind of posturing around right now. If you look at the comps here, Mountain Soul, pretty insane for Wukong, but also, you know, it's not like either of these comps are running a big tank top laner. You know, we have two AP tops, so the Soul isn't necessarily going to be game-breaking. I just think that if you lose control of one of these fights as Dplus again, and that gold lead thins down to 3,500, like if Bro can cut this gold lead in half with another big flub from Dplus, then you could maybe get a Baron. Then that gold lead disappears, and then Dplus are really going to struggle to play the game with this Braum. So I still think they're in a very favorable position, but what I've watched over the last 5 minutes does make me a little nervous.
I'm definitely, I'm feeling Chronicler's anxiety from here. He's probably bouncing off the walls over there in the space. As Heva pulverizes Beryl in his favorite position once again. Does have Lucid to stand beside, but that is still a flash now down.
Not the most valuable support to have, to use flash to engage, so it's okay, but doesn't feel like a win, let's say.
Yep. Croco discovers that he doesn't have a Krug camp, because of course Showmaker has been hoovering those up. Showmaker is very close to a Flame Horizon, by the way.
Yeah, he is going to be so difficult to kill. Like, aiming is definitely your target.
Yeah. Beryl, don't go back to that spot. Just don't. He is back there. Never mind. Do what you want, Beryl. He's now moving further forward. Does have a fair bit of support, but will get pulverized once again. But when that's on cooldown, there is some opportunities here as aiming. Going to get engaged on here as Croco has to use the ulti. Man, and he does so much damage. The circle is put down as Shiu goes between worlds, and the Realm Warp gets Showmaker into the base. He's playing Rise like Twisted Fate. Gets a huge shield here from the Seraphs. Shiu's in there as well, but he's going to get taken down. Showmaker follows suit. Hype finds the double. And DK,
I mean,
that's too much.
Like, they snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory in that fight. I mean, I like how Showmaker was positioned before he took the Realm Warp, because I'm like, yeah, you can literally walk up to them because Lucian is taking half of Paulu's health bar off of just like a Q double auto there.
Yeah.
And now he has LDR, by the way. And Showmaker has Zhonya's, and he's so incredibly fed. He is level 18, so walking up like he is right now, that part's fine because he can Zhonya's and his team can turn. They take away Paulu's health bar here, and then Croco goes in for some reason. I'm thinking, wow, Dplus just won the game, I guess. Kill Croco and walk up mid. Instead, we Realm Warp into the base. Now Showmaker's isolated away from his team. Closer goes golden, buys a ton of time, and then what do? We send our Aurora in, so we can lose both of them?
Morgan's equalizer as well was so incredibly good to make sure that there was no support for these two solo lanes. But I have to say, you're right. Credit where credit is due. Probably just don't do that.
Yeah, just either go get Baron or like walk down mid and end the game. Instead, they decided to get fancy with it. Now they're going to start Baron up. Bro, do not have flash for Croco, so contesting this is so
flash,
challenging.
No blast cone. This is just gone. And DK, I guess, was sick of having fun, and they kind of just want to end the game. I don't know. That was not a whole lot of contest. There's also Soul Point on the cards for both teams. Yeah, likely something that DK are going to head towards here.
If Bro just sit back and farm and let them have the dragon and hope it takes Dplus a long time to do it, they're like, that's just part of their Baron timer that is going to be down now. Aiming's going to take away this buff here as well. Take the blue from Bro. I'll give it to his team. Yep. That's a small bonus here. Now that he's on this dragon, it won't take too long, but Bro, we're just going to go, well, hopefully they'll get a little bit too excited again, and maybe we'll win another team fight where they overextend. Because really, that's your game plan now, is just hope to keep your Nexus alive until Dplus run it down. Or otherwise, maybe they won't and you'll lose and we'll see you in game 2.
Let's just say DK has strong arms.
Yeah.
Like Donkey Kong himself. Very strong arms, really good at throwing things. Doesn't matter how heavy the wallets are, they can still be thrown. Showmaker could be in a little bit of trouble. He's just going to Realm Warp away, so he's fine. And Shiu, as a response, is just going to take an inhibitor turret. This is what we were hoping to see. Yes. After they kill Croco, go back to Baron, and then go back in. Instead, they decided to lose a bit of a team fight first, which is an extra step that we would not recommend. Still, it's working, right? We can't really fault DK. They are playing a little bit fast and loose, but the results speak for themselves. And Shiu is just being so frustrating here on this side lane, on this Aurora.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rainy day today, but Croco's wind is not becoming lightning very often in this one.
No, it is not. It needs really dry weather for that to happen. As an Australian, we know all about it. If you're from the Northern Territory or around any of these deserts, it's just really hard. Things just go light on fire all the time. All right, the Bros not able to defend any of their inhibitors. However, guess what?
The Nexus is still alive.
Exactly. And as long as you keep that 50 gold to yourself, you can still potentially win the game. However, it is very, very difficult because now you got super minions making things even harder as Croco, my goodness, okay, that's not a back massage anymore. That is just, that's a lot of damage there from aiming.
Yeah, is it too hard, sir?
Yes. Please, take your boots off. It's okay. The Cyclone comes on forward from Lucid. It's not really a full engage, though, as DK just pull it back. They have now used the Cyclone, but now there are no Nexus turrets. Braum is going to be the target once again, and guess what? Yes, you can kill Braum. You have lost your entire base, and there is now a teleport bringing Xiu back in. Croco takes that as a sign to go, as the rest of DK will just end the game. There it is! Aiming finishes it off. It was a pretty classic DK game, but ultimately, they had the tempo vibes the whole time. They also just had a whole lot of fun.